In with another cabby video, guys. So what we're doing this time, we've got a boot floater going. Not only have we got a boot floater going, before we continue putting, I don't know if you can make these panels out here. These panels here go in between the B and the C post. Over there, I don't know if you can see the 4 bolts. So I'm going to give them a quick clean up and I'm going to get them in position. Just we're going to be cutting a lot more out the back end. It's going to make the back end possibly flimsy. I think it's solid enough with the framework that's in it, but I don't want to find out later on down the line that we made a slight mistake and we're a little bit out of shape. So the last thing we want to find out a bit further down the line is these parts are sort of classed as part of the stiffeners of the Cabriolet. They might as well be in there. We're not going to get in our way until a little bit later on, but I can soon remove them again. And the rear quarters are going to be coming off anyway, so that'll give us a lot more access with a spot weld that where we want to be. But first, I've got a bit of a pain in the rear job to do. I've just got to move all the stuff back out of here. We've been having to use the van to store it, but we needed to use the van yesterday to take the bikes out. So it's ended up in here. So we've got the air panels, obviously we've got the wings, the front panel, rear valance, gutters down there, boot floor, awning, jerry cans, other general stuff that doesn't want to be in here. So first thing I'm going to do, we'll get them out the way, and then we're going to look at getting these other panels in. So I won't bore you with me moving stuff backwards and forwards. I'll just get this stuff out the way into the van, and I'll crack on and get some stuff done. There's a couple of flitch panels kicking about down there which we won't be using now. Anyway, right, I'll get back to you shortly once we get this stuff moved. See you in a bit. Alright guys, so let's pop back and we've put the window regulator plates in to secure the B to the C again. They're dropped in lovely, so obviously no distortion, no movements being happening, which is great news. It's what I was thinking would be the case, obviously, as I wouldn't have braced it in such a way. But now as we're doing the back end and removing a lot more than I intended to, I thought we'd get these plates back in. Both sides too. Quite a thick bit of steel these. They house the window regulator and the window and that. But they also are designed to be structurally part of a tie-in to tie the B to the C apparently. So as you can see, we've got them in. They'll come back out again before painting, obviously, so we've got £1/4 to go on, but just for now we've got them in for strength. And then the big movement of the day is our first fit of the boot floor. We're just on clamps, obviously. We've got still got a bit of grinding and dressing to do. The little securing plate there, we've got a bit of dressing up to do. As you can see, where we meet the bulkhead as well. See, we had quite a bit of it remaining, but quite a bit of it was beyond what was going to weld to, you know, on this bulkhead, the little lip that usually stands out at the bottom. Runs along there. So what we're going to do, we'll get another lip and we'll attach that to the front of there, replacing that so it's back to back to how it should be, in 100% spot on for when we come to welding it. So when we come to welding it, obviously we've got a lot of paint to dress off, so we'll be dressing paint off here, dressing paint off the heel board, and we'll be able to spot weld all this. Now, where the bulkhead meets the boot floor, I'm hoping, because I'll spot weld it before we put the wheel arches in, I'm hoping we'll be able to get through this gap here. A little bit more to come off here, but we'll get through this gap here with the spot welder arms to spot weld along that line and hopefully get to the middle and then do the same from The other side, as you can see, there's a hole in the wheel arch there. We haven't fully took the wheel arch out yet. We wanted to get a bit more structure in and basically them plates in before we started taking the rest of the arch out. So it looks like it could possibly wander a little, so I've got as much of the arch out as we need to get into work, and I'll save taking the rest of the arches out until the boot floor is actually in, and then we'll put the arches in. It'll be a bit tricky getting some of the brackets in, so we'll have to renew. I don't know if we've got the light to show you in the boot, but we have brackets. Obviously you've got your seat belt strengthening bracket there, but that ties onto a wheel arch bracket which ties onto the boot floor. Now this side was rotted out, totally rotten, so that was just bin fodder this side. But the other side, it wasn't too bad, but it was a bit scuffy, so for what they are, I'll just replace that on the other side and put the new wheel arches in. So yeah, there's a couple of brackets to go in with them wheel arches. Obviously it helps stiffen up the boot floor. But yeah, we've got a boot floor so far, just dummied in. Obviously we're just roughly clamped up. I've got the subframe in the back shed. It's a new subframe. I can't remember for the life of me what I've done with the trunnions and bushes, but I'll have to get that subframe part assembled, trunnions and bushes on. Right guys, I get the trunnions and bushes on it. Once that's assembled, I'll be able to fit it to the toe board in here, raise it up at the back, get it where we want it, bolt the boot floor to it, and make sure that when we spot weld, that subframe's in and everything's held where it should be. Part way through the spot welding we'll take the subframe out, but once we get secured into place, then we'll take the subframe out. But obviously be a big risk putting the boot floor in without measuring up and make sure the subframe fits it properly first, wouldn't it? Yeah, don't fancy any wholly elongating to make things fit or anything. That would just be ridiculous. Right, anyway, so that's probably our video for this week. I'm out of gas, so I don't think it was a full bottle, but we'll have to get some more of that. Just the argon CO2 mix. Now I can get this welded in here. In the meantime I've got the subframe, rear subframe to sort out. So hopefully next weekend we can look at having this welded in, the subframe in, and getting that boot floor in. Once the boot floor's in, I'll move on to the arches, the other bits and pieces around there, and then we've got obviously the closing plates which go in at the back end, rear valance to go on, so we've got quite a bit to go out there. That gives plenty of time for our toe board to show up, and the other inner wing. Once they show up, obviously we'll drop back on the front end, but now we're on with the back end, we might as well stick with the back end until it's done. Be nice to get it out of the way. I'll put it back in the van now. We have another plate which goes across the front of here, so I'll have to remove that little seat stay there because that gets in the way. A couple of little closing plates that also go in here. It goes down there, comes across the front and spot welds to this plate which runs across front here and has a hole in, allows the cables to run through, so I can put the cables through to the boot. As you can see in the closing plate, on not the closing plate, sorry, the window regulator, there's a large hole. I'll show you on this side as well. So what happens is the closing plate is just there, so just in here, sits on top of the reinforcement in a sill when that goes in, and hole here allows the cables to come out, run through, and then they run into this hole here and up through the wheel arch and into your boot. There you go. Right guys, obviously I've done a bit of oiling today as well. I've been around and bolt holes, just gone around, give them a quick clean and dumped some oil in, mainly on this side. I've got a few to do on that side, but hey ho, it's all good to go. And it's nice to see a boot floor sat back in the car, even though it's not welded in yet. It's just nice to see it back there. Be nice to get some of these panels out of the van and onto the car and free up a bit of space in the van. I like to get quite a bit done for the Christmas holidays, the more I get done before the Christmas holidays, and then I can have a good productive Christmas holidays then, and really get kicked into it hopefully. really need to see it in primer before the racing season starts. And we've just had regulations come through, our provisional regulations, so we've got a few changes to do to the Super. Our roller rockets are changing. We've been running 1.5s. They're now changing to the 1.3, so we'll do a video of putting the 1.3s on. Gonna have to have a look at poundage on springs and that again, just work a few things out, make sure all the valve chain geometry. Obviously we're changing the geometry when we change our ratio from 1.5 to 1.3, so we'll have to have a look, make sure we have to do any shimming or anything, see how that goes. But that's for another video. Anyway, for the cabby videos for now, maybe later in the week if I'm really lucky. I can't see it, it'll be more like next weekend I think. Get some gas sorted out through the week and then we can get back on and get this panelled up. Right guys, you all have a good week, take it easy, we'll see you in the next video. See you all later.